Good night, everyone. My name is Carlos Mata, and I am going to present you the Evidence 1 of Effective Presentation Workshop. This is a list of 15 graphic elements that you can use in a presentation. That's an activity, so I don't think that I have to explain that right now. I just put it here um, to kill time. Well, now, the steps to prepare an effective presentation. You can just make a presentation like poof, and it's going to be a really good presentation. You need to practice and do something. So let's check the steps. The first one, determine your purpose and objective. You need to know what are you going to do, what are you going to do, why are you going to do that, and for who are you going to do that. You need to know this before making all the other steps so you can really do a good job. The second step is to know your audience. We're going to talk back this step later, so don't worry. The third step is define your topic. What are you going to talk about? If you're going to talk about fish, why are you going to talk about fish? And what fishes are you going to talk about? You can't just take a general topic and say, oh. The fifth step is compose your presentation. Uh, you know, like a practice test or something to make the structure or the initial structure of that. Then you have to create visual aids like this presentation, something that can help you to explain the thing that you're talking about. This the step number 7 is to practice your presentation. You have to practice and practice and practice again, so you don't make a mistake like the mistake I did later. The number 8 is make adjustment. If your presentation is not, uh, you don't like it so much, or you don't like how are you explaining that, you can change it. So in the final presentation, you don't do that and do something better or better in your point of view. The number 9, analyze the room of the presentation. You have to check where are you gonna present, so you can do what you want. If you are in a big space, you can move around and say and talk and move in a really big way. If you are in a room like this, you are in a very little space, so you can't move so much, and you have to improve your presentation in another way that doesn't need so many moves. And the number 10, and I think that's the most important, is that you have to practice again what you are saying. You have to practice and practice and practice. You can just do it in the first time. Well, the next thing that I am going to talk about is the types of person types of presentations. Um, if you want to make a presentation, you also need to know what's the purpose of the presentation. Well, one kind of presentation is the informative. It's when you are giving some information or you are covering an event or something. The second one is the persuasive. Is when you are trying to convince someone to do something or to buy something or to sell you something, like the commercials or something like that. The third one is the multipurpose presentation. Is when you are in an example is when you are in a job or something and you have a job reunion and they make many announcements. They just don't talk about one thing, so they touch many topics. The next one is the goodwill presentation. Is when you're talking to someone like in in your house or in some other place, and you want him to feel better. It's like you're supporting him. That's a goodwill presentation. The next one is the arousing presentation. That's similar to the informative, but the difference is that you know that the audience can't understand that, so you give them a, a direct view of what's happening, like the Black Lives Matter. And the next one is the instructional presentation. Is when you are giving some instructions when you're teaching someone something, a process or something like that. Like in the example that someone is teaching maths to other person. Well, the next are the communication skills. But before talking about that, we know that there are many kinds of communication. One is the verbal. Is when you are talking of something or someone and you use your mouth to make verbs. You can say it on radio, on TV, on many things. And the communication skills of that are your tone, your pitch. Well, the second is the nonverbal present communication. Is when you don't use your mouth, you just move your hands or something. It's kinesthetic. You don't have to move so much. The next one is the visual. They are like logos or something like that 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 you just see them. And the next one is the written presentation. Is when you read them. They don't talk to you. They don't move to you. There are, well, written as I say. Well, after that you need to know the types of audience. You know, there are four types of audience. The first one is the unaware. Is the audience that have a little knowledge about what you are saying, but they don't have enough. So you have first to give them some information about that, and then you have to convince them or telling you what telling them what you want them to know. The next one is the indifferent audience. Is the audience that didn't really have an opinion, or they don't really care about what you're saying. So you have to give them a point of view or something that they can catch their attention. The next one is the favorable audience. Is the audience is that is in favor of you. What they really want what you're saying before you say it. Like if you're trying to sell them some soda or something, but they before that they like the soda, so they will always have a positive, or probably have a positive posture about that. The unfavorable con is the opposite of the favorable. They don't want what you're saying, or they don't like what you're saying, and you have to make them change their opinion with another point of view or something that can change their mind. Well, on the last, I have to say the skills that I have. I think that I have enough self-confidence. Well, in person, I think that in virtual I get some nervous. I have a regular English knowledge. I I have mistakes, but not so much. And I don't stay so static. I always try to keep moving. And the skills that I need to improve are my pronunciation. As you can see, I really have some mistakes on my pronunciation many times. And my voice tone, I think that's not always the best.